Welcome to the Wired for Success podcast, your show for ambitious, mission-driven entrepreneurs who want to build million-dollar businesses without sacrificing their health, relationships, or happiness, who understand that in order to build their empire, they need a solid foundation, and that the more they are thriving, the more their business is thriving too. This show brings you the very best from science, self-development, and entrepreneurship to set you up for sustainable success. Hi, I'm Claudia Garbutt, the scientist turned mindset and high-performance coach for entrepreneurs, and I help you get wired for success. Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Wired for Success podcast, where we talk about all things science, self-development, and entrepreneurship that help you get to that next level of success in your life and business. And today I'm bringing you a brand new and exciting interview episode. My guest today is Bryan Clayton. He's the CEO and co-founder of GreenPal, an online marketplace that connects homeowners with local lawn care professionals. GreenPal has been called the Uber for lawn care by Entrepreneur Magazine and has over 200,000 active users, completing thousands of transactions per day. And before starting GreenPal, Bryan founded Peachtree Inc., one of the largest landscaping companies in the state of Tennessee, growing it to over $10 million a year in annual revenue before selling it in 2013. So I think we can all learn a few things from Bryan when it comes to starting, growing, and selling businesses. Welcome, Bryan, and thank you so much for being on my show today.
Claudia, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Bryan, do you remember the moment you decided to start your first business? Can you paint a picture for us? What was the situation you were in? What did you tell yourself? And what did it feel like to make that big decision to bet on yourself?
Well, I remember the moment I started my first business. I'll never forget it. I was actually forced into entrepreneurship by my father. He made me go mow the neighbor's yard one day on a hot summer day. He said, "Hey, get off your butt. We got a job to do. We're going to go cut the neighbor's grass." And sure enough, he and I went next door and spent about an hour mowing the neighbor's yard and made $20. And so ever since then, I was hooked on entrepreneurship, hooked on owning my own business. I thought, this is incredible. Why doesn't everybody do this? I just worked an hour and made $20, which in the mid 90s was a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first thing I did like that week was I went to my old school desktop computer and made up some flyers and passed out flyers around the neighborhood. And that first summer, I had a handful of customers, maybe 5 or 10 customers that I was mowing yards for, and just stuck with this little lawn mowing business all through high school, all through college, and never looked back. Never thought, well, maybe I should go get a job somewhere, or maybe I should go start thinking about what kind of career I want to embark on. I thought, this is my lane. Business ownership is my lane. That's going to help me create something of my life. And after I graduated business school, I made a little business plan and decided to double down in the landscaping business. And over a 15-year period of time, little by little, built up a business with over 150 employees, getting it over 8 figures a year in revenue. And then in 2013, the business was acquired by one of the largest landscaping companies in the United States. So remember the moment very clearly, never forget it. And I never looked back. Business ownership just made sense to me. It clicked for me.
Wow, it sounds like it was all smooth sailing, or did you encounter any struggles along the way?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's definitely ups and downs. I read a book that is called a Million Miles in 1,000 Years, and it's by I forget the author's name. Donald Miller is the author's name. It's a really good book, and one thing he talks about in this book is, to live an interesting life, you have to live an interesting storyline, and you have to do interesting things. You have to create an interesting storyline to your life. And so I'm reading this book and I thought, wow, that really makes sense for me, because my business has always been the storyline to my life. It's been the thing that's caused me to take on challenges I never would have taken on, to do interesting things, to overcome problems and adversity, and to read books I never would have read, and to go to conferences I never would have gone to learn things. And so it's all of these new things that you're doing that causes you to live an interesting life. Whereas maybe if you were working in a cubicle somewhere, you may not have been presented with those challenges. So that's one thing that's made sense to me. There was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of sleepless nights building that first business, and my second business. But that's what makes it interesting. And overcoming those challenges is what makes you proud of it. It's what makes it fun. It's what makes it rewarding.
Yeah, I totally get that. I always say that entrepreneurship is kind of like the biggest self-development journey you can be on because it forces you out of your comfort zone and it forces you to grow as a person as well. So,
Absolutely.
what aspects of entrepreneurship did you find most challenging and how did you approach those challenges?
It's like, where do you start? You got to get good at what you're not good at. So you have to be pretty good at a lot of different things. You have to, be a decent product person. You got to be a decent financial analyst. You have to be a decent strategist. You have to be decent at a lot of different things. And one thing that was particularly challenging was nobody teaches us leadership. Nobody teaches us how to be a good leader. Nobody teaches us how to be a good manager. And as a small business owner, whether you have your first 2 or 3 employees, guess what? Now you're a leader. Now, not only are you like chief of the business, but you're also chief like marriage counselor and banker and like counselor and all these things that nobody teaches you how to do. And so you kind of have to learn these things as you go, these soft skills, these people skills, these leadership skills. And that was one of the things that I was challenged with. I did it wrong for many years until I tried to figure out how to do it right. And I think every new business owner goes through this if they eventually scale a company. If not, it could be the limiting thing. It could be, hey, you need to develop your leadership skills if you ever want to manage more than 3 people. And so again, like the business extracts that from you. The business requires you to develop those skills if you're going to make it, if you're going to be successful.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I'm actually going to give a talk tomorrow about emotional mastery as the key to authentic leadership because, as you said, those problems they will come up, and those soft skills are often what makes or breaks a business.
Oh, yes.
So,
So much of it is managing your
right?
personal psychology.
Yeah, you really have to learn how to control not only your thoughts, but also your feelings and your nervous system because
That's right.
you have to know how to calm yourself down so that you can focus or how to motivate yourself enough to take the next step if you have to take the next step, right?
That's right. I totally agree.
So that's one of the things that I help my clients with. Now, looking back, what were some of the most valuable lessons that you have learned from building your first business from scratch to over $10 million a year in revenue?
Yeah, whether building my first company or now building GreenPal, a lot of it looking back over 22 years, I think sometimes like success and talent can be mistaken for consistency. A lot of it is just day in, day out, being disciplined about working, like setting out goals and working out a process to get there and just working that process and rewarding that process and doing that consistently over many years. And the little things begin to compound into big things. That's really how it's made sense for me over the last 20 years, now building 2 businesses to over 8 figures. It hasn't ever been like one move on the chessboard that won the game. It was always a million things that were done on a daily basis, very little that built up over time,
Mhm.
and staying the course. And with GreenPal today, we've spent 10 years working on the same problem. How do we make this service as easy as pushing a button? And it's the same problem today as it was 10 years ago. We're just making it better and better and better and better. And I think that consistency and focus is, if you're willing to stick it out, you'll be successful eventually.
Absolutely. And I like how you mentioned that it's the tiny things that add up and create this huge compound effect because that's one of the things that I emphasize as well, that you have to be very strategic at picking the right habits and then sticking with those habits because that's what's going to create the long-term results that you see in your life. And that's true for your business as well as it's true for your health, for instance, or for your
Yes.
relationships.
So true. It's so true. In fact, I often sometimes joke about, the similarities between building a business and dieting, for example, and or getting in shape. It's like they're so similar. They're like there's faith. Like you go to the gym and then you get, the next morning you look in the mirror, you look exactly the same. And so,
Yeah.
but you still have to do it day in, day out. Eventually it compounds and it builds.
Exactly. You can't do it once and expect to have the
Right.
six pack, right? But that's in business, that's how a lot of people actually treat their businesses. They do something, they test a new strategy, they try it for say a week or so, they don't see the results they want to see, and they just say, okay, it's not working, so I'm not going to do it anymore. But maybe they just didn't
I,
stick with it long enough.
I agree. I agree. There's this phenomenon called the law of 100. And so no matter what you're doing, do it 100 times, then reevaluate. So maybe you want to create a new content marketing strategy. And so, okay, well, let's create 100 really good pieces of content on one channel and then reach out to like 100 bloggers to help them to promote it. Or maybe you want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, let's go to the gym 100 days in a row or
Yeah.
100 days, over 3 months. And then let's reevaluate. So the law of 100 really kind of it's a good little rule of thumb. It applies to a lot of things in life that you won't see results for the first 3, 4, 5, 10 times, but after 100 times, you'll know whether you want to do it for the next 10 years or not.
Yeah, I really like that. It's also something when I get my clients to test a new protocol or routine, I tell them to stick with it for at least a month before they see any changes, because usually we are so stuck in our tracks and our habits, and it's usually very hard to break those habits. And the first 2 weeks might be miserable, and then it's starting to get better. And by week 4, they can usually assess whether it's something they want to keep doing moving forward or not, because before that
Yeah,
it's just not fair to assess something
that's
when
right. But on the other hand, you have to know when it's time to course correct and
you.
iterate or pivot. For instance, in my business, GreenPal, we set off on an initiative to really try to open up Pinterest as a channel, and so we abided by the law 100. We did 100 pieces of content, and we thought, this is good. We're seeing some signs of life here. And then so we dedicated a year to it. Now here we are, we're a year in, we've invested something like north of 6 figures into this project, and we're not seeing the ROI. So
Mm.
it's time to reevaluate, either pull out of that, apply it to something else that is working, but at least we didn't make the call after 10 pieces or 20. We really tried, and now it's time to move on to a different initiative. So on the one hand, most people don't ever see any results or success because they're not willing to dedicate to it to 3 months or 100 instances. But on the other hand, you also have to know when it's time to course correct and pull out of something.
That's so true. How has becoming such a successful entrepreneur shaped your mindset and the person you've become?
I think it's made me a more humble person, for sure, because I think one of the most humbling things you can do with your life is start a business. And one of the most self-aware things you can do with your life is to help cause you to be self-aware. You learn really quick that, the marketplace is this arbiter of feedback. It's a feedback machine, and it's always going to tell you every day where you suck. And so you become self-aware. It's really humbling, and you learn that you just have to stick it out, and that that the only like judge and jury of your success is the marketplace. And if you're solving customers' problems in a way that they will use your product and continue to come back and use it, and that's really the only truth there is. It doesn't care who you are, where you come from, what your background is. That's the judge. And so for me, like I think it's made me a more humble person. Hopefully, it's built like wisdom along the way, because success is a lousy teacher. You only learn in your failures. And business building is full of failures. It's basically going from one failure to the next without a loss of enthusiasm. That really is what entrepreneurship is. And so hopefully, 20 years of entrepreneurship, it's helped me become wiser and more humble. And these are great virtues that are hard to learn unless you're doing hard things.
So true. Yeah, the reason I'm asking this question is that I talk to a lot of successful people who have achieved amazing things, like having built multi-million dollar businesses, yet they don't feel wealthy. There's this huge gap between their outer and inner reality. They still feel like imposters and they worry that everything they've built so far just could disappear overnight, right? So they feel a lot of pressure and stress, and they have a really hard time enjoying the success that they have created. Is that something that you relate to, or do you feel that your inner and outer experiences are very aligned in that respect?
It's nobody has this figured out. I talk to a lot of other fellow entrepreneurs that also struggle with this, and also struggle with this other strange phenomenon when you get to a certain level of success and you no longer have to slog it out and do the grind. You can kind of like literally go spend a month on the beach somewhere, and then this weird thing happens, and it's like, um wow, now I'm more anxious than I was when I couldn't make payroll. Like, what is this? It's weird. But I don't want to go back to the moment in which I couldn't make payroll. That wasn't fun. So what am I in search of? It's a weird thing. A lot of entrepreneurs deal with it. And I think the only way to deal with this is to keep pushing forward. I don't think you can get into a point where you built a business to a certain point and then you're not going to grow it anymore. It's my personal belief that if you're not gaining ground, you're losing ground. And I think that the business is the thing causing you to move forward in life. It's the thing that's going to be causing you to be taking on new challenges, to be writing that storyline, making it interesting, making it like a movie that you would want to watch. And without the business growing, without the business hiring new employees, taking on new product lines, conquering new territory, it gets pretty boring really quick. And you see this, in all like corners of the world, like, whether it be, Elon Musk buying, 10% of Twitter the other day. Why did he do that? He's in search of the next, challenge, the next interesting thing. It's like we all are as human beings. And I think no matter at what level you're at, you have to keep pushing forward, taking on new challenges in business, or else it's going to get boring and it's going to get unfulfilling. One of the things that has made sense to me is like Freud said that the human beings are in search of pleasure, they're in search of ease, they're in search of the good life, and then Viktor Frankl came along and said, no, that's not it. Human beings are in search of purpose. That's what what creates happiness. And I think the business can be the source of purpose in your life if you architect it a certain way, and that's the way it's always been for me.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned something very important there, that entrepreneurship, or for a lot of entrepreneurs, it gets boring very quickly. And I think that has a lot to do with the way that entrepreneurship interacts with our dopamine system, because when you're used to getting your dopamine hit from achieving your milestones, and then you have reached a certain level and you just don't get the same the same reward for what you're achieving, that's when things start to go south and people have to reevaluate what they're doing, just from a physiology standpoint, to still be able to enjoy what they are doing.
I
Now,
agree.
now that your current business has grown to $20 million a year in revenue, what are your plans for the future of GreenPal?
We have I'm not a big 5-year plan guy, but our North Star metric is revenue coming through the platform, because that the more revenue that comes to the platform, the more our contractors make that use the platform to run their lawn care business. And it's just one of the best barometers of our success, because that means people are using the product and they're continuing to use the product. And we want to get to 9 figures. Need to get over $100 million a
Nice.
year in revenue within the next 5 years. And so everything we do, like, that's the output metric. And then everything we do is like the input metrics that we have to do on like a daily basis. Okay, well, that means we have to launch this many more cities, and that means we have to recruit this many more contractors, and we have to create these many more pieces of content for traffic, and we have to, all these little things that we have to do on a day in, day out basis. That's what we manage on a weekly and monthly basis to get to that output metric.
Sounds great. But what about personal goals? What personal goals would you like to work toward this year?
For me, my personal and my business really kind of conflate. They really have always been one and one and the same. Like my business is the scaffolding around like me, and it's a weird thing. Like my friends are the people who work in the company or my business partners, and so personal and business goals usually kind of merge together. But some of those things, some of the personal things are staying in good physical shape. That's always something that I have to stay on top of. And about 4 months ago, I hired a remote trainer that helps keep me on track, and that's been some of the best money I've ever spent. It's not terribly expensive. It's actually pretty cheap, and it's something that helps keep me on track in terms of diet and exercise and staying in good physical shape, because that's important to me and helps me feel better, helps me be a better leader, better manager, better executive. And then also I like martial arts. I study Muay Thai boxing and Krav Maga. And so getting good at those is a personal goal of mine. And it's kind of funny, like the better I get at that training, like I also find it carries on into other aspects of life and in business life too.
Yeah, it always does. Now, you already hinted at that, but this is the time to appreciate a wonderful service, product, or practice that has really helped you improve your life recently. So, what was the best investment you've made in the last 6 to 12 months that has really made a big impact on your quality of life? Was that your personal trainer?
Wow, that's a great question. So in terms of business, it's the platform Upwork. I use up the heck out of Upwork for getting a lot of talent in very specialized places. In my personal life, I'll give a shout out to an app. It's called Trainerize, TR Trainer IZE, and this is an app that I use with my trainer that he lays out all of my goals for the day and week in terms of what sets I need to hit in the gym, how much cardio, what kind of macros on my diet. And that's really helped me. I've lost like 40 pounds in 9 months and put on some muscle mass. So that's something in my personal life that helps out a lot. And then also I like to meditate. So the Calm app, calm.com is helpful. That's a good app that I get a lot of value from. These pieces of technology can help us with that consistency as a superpower. The app isn't going to change your life, but the app is going to help you with the consistency and help you stay on track. That's where the value is.
That's true. And do you find that those apps are sufficient, or do you need someone like a trainer to hold you accountable?
It's funny. You know, if Calm had like a meditation guru coach with it, that'd be kind of cool. So I think the human component, because I meet with this guy once a week, is really powerful, and I think that might be a new hybrid that we see moving forward. The technology, in conjunction with the personal coach, I think can be powerful. The technology alone is good, and the personal coach without the technology is okay, but when you bring them together, it can be really powerful. And that's what I'm seeing, working with this personal trainer, keeping me in good physical shape.
Yeah, that's what I think too. So the technology can help you with the consistency, but the trainer helps you with the accountability. So actually, you're doing it. You're not just.
Yeah. Ideally, the trainer shows up at your door every day at 6 a.m. and yanks you out of bed and drives you to the gym. And then you have a personal chef that makes all your meals. Like that's the ideal way, right? But few of us can afford that. And so I think this idea of, okay, the app is in your pocket all day. It's buzzing you. It's telling you what to do. The trainer you got to deal with. You got to like interact with them at least once a week, and you don't want to let them down. Matter of fact, this guy told me, one time, about a month in, I wasn't falling in line, and my diet was all screwed up. He's like, look, if you're not going to do this stuff, I got other people I can work with. He was literally going to fire me. And so like, I was like, hold on. I'll get it straightened out. And so I think that's really powerful. The human component of it's really powerful, I think.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I love the idea of those hybrid programs.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about creating a hybrid mastermind and one-on-one coaching program right now, because what I see is that people often need this personal development component that is just, it's just easier to do that in a one-on-one setting. But when you layer on top of that, when you layer the power of a network and a mastermind, that's when it becomes like super powerful, right?
You've made that commitment to another human being, and I think there's something in our biology. It might go back to tribal days, where if you didn't do what you say you were supposed to do, you would have been thrown out of the tribe or something. And I think that little component of it helps keep you on track. It helps you stay consistent and stay disciplined.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing.
My pleasure.
And last but not least, where can our listeners find you online if they want to connect with you?
Yeah. So if you're in the United States and you don't want to do your lawn maintenance, just download GreenPal in the App Store or Play Store. And anybody wants to hit me up personally, you can reach me on Instagram. Find me at Bryan M. Clayton. Just drop me a DM there.
Perfect. I will make sure to include all the links in the show notes. And thank you so much, Bryan, for sharing your tips and insights with us today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Claudia, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on.
Take care and talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Wired for Success podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please take a sec to rate and review my show or share it with a friend. That way you can support the show and help me reach and support other entrepreneurs like yourself as well. If you would like my help to figure out how you can go from overwhelmed and overworked hustler to empowered and confident leader, check out my website at www.wiredforsuccess.solutions and book a free 20-minute strategy session with me. Can't wait to help you get wired for success. Until next time, take care. Bye.
This is not a commercial for The Way I Heard It with Mike Rowe, the award-winning podcast now entering its 10th year and available wherever podcasts are listened to. No, this is a commercial for Mike Rowe's foundation, which has just set aside $10 million to help train the next generation of skilled workers. That money is available right now at microworks.org. It's waiting for anyone who wants to learn a skill that doesn't require a 4-year degree. Electricians, plumbers, linemen, welders, shipbuilders, HVAC techs. America is desperate for men and women with skills they don't teach in universities. And the MicroWorks Foundation is committed to helping train America's workforce for hundreds of thousands of AI-proof six-figure jobs just waiting to be filled. Apply today for a work ethic scholarship at microworks.org or support our efforts with a donation of any size. We're closing America's skills gap one job at a time, and we could use your help at microworks.org, MIKEROWE works.org.